Last week the remaster of Final Fantasy VIII was released. In January we're getting the remaster for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. And to top it off, the Final Fantasy VII remake is finally here in March. The retro JRPGs are kinda hot again, at least if they're called Final Fantasy. But the PlayStation had so many awesome JRPGs that wasn't Final Fantasy, even though Square Enix or Squaresoft back then had their hands in some of them. With that in mind, it's a genre that I personally grew up with and loved. And I'd like to share some top JRPGs that aren't Final Fantasy, but I would love to see a remastered version of. My name is Andreas Rik for Wasder, and this is my top wanted PlayStation 1 remasters. A small disclaimer before we begin, these are of course personal picks, but if you feel like something is missing, make sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, some of these games has since been re-released on PSN, but I want the new shiny versions, not only for myself, but for people who never played these games in the first place. With that out of the way, let's start! So how many of you got the tease? I know some of you cracked the hint in like 5 minutes, so let's get the obvious one out of the way. Xenogears. Xenogears has been named among the best JRPGs of all time in several lists, and rightfully so. It was quite controversial though, as it touched upon a couple of more adult themes, including a bit of gore, but also religion. Unfortunately, the game was quite stressed in the end, and Squaresoft thought the development of it just took too long, so the second half of the game has some pacing issues because of it. But even with that in mind, the game story is amazing, and if you haven't played it, you're really missing out. That's why I would love to see a remaster of this game. It would also be great to give the team the extra time needed to pan out the second part of the game as it was intended. I mean, we can wish the impossible, right? However, the creator left Squaresoft and started a development studio called Monolith Software, giving us games such as Xenosaga and Xenoblade, so a remaster feels pretty far-fetched. But hey, we got the Final Fantasy VII remake, so I guess anything's possible. Next one on the list is Grandia. I know, technically it isn't a PlayStation 1 title, but hey, this game is amazing, so I'm forcing it in here, alright? Anyways, Grandia blew me away as a kid. I stumbled upon it by accident during my RPG fever, where I would just go and grab like any JRPG I could find. Just as long as it looked like a JRPG, I would play it. So I'm really happy that I came across this game, and to my surprise, there's still a lot of people who has never played Grandia, even real JRPG junkies. The game recently got ported to Steam though, so now it's quite accessible. However, I would love to see a remastered edition of this game, as the environment hasn't really aged too well. The battle system, however, is still like one of the best JRPG battle systems of all time. And Grandia, for its time, had voice acting, which was a first for me, and even though maybe the quality of it is hit and miss, it's still pretty cool. Grandia, however, really spelled adventure to me, and unfortunately, after one of the original creators passed away, the series really declined and completely went off the grid. It's an amazing game, and everyone should play it given a chance, so just give me a remastered version already. So let's continue with Suikoden 1 and 2. Suikoden is another series that blew the mind of a lot of people around the world. 108 characters to play, strategic battles, duels, amazing story, and a really rich world. I'm still waiting for Suikoden 6 to be released, and I will never lose faith. However, the first 2 installments in the series are still amazing, and even though they were released on PSN, we deserve more. We deserve remastered versions. Before the PSN release, it was pretty hard to get your hands on Suikoden 1 and 2. Both are pretty rare today, and if you don't believe me, just go and try and find a copy for PlayStation 1 and tell me the price. Just go to any auction site or any used game site and just let me know how much it cost, because it's a shocker. I was lucky enough that a friend of mine owned Suikoden 2, and with that, I had my first contact with the series, and I've been sold on it ever since. I have to say though that the game still hold up today according to me, but I think a remaster would get a new audience to give this series a shot, and you know, if everything goes well, it sells well, maybe we can get Suikoden 6? One can only hope. Next up on the list we have Breath of Fire 3 and 4, and man, these games were great. The best ones in the series for sure. Breath of Fire 3 was one of those games I started, got stuck in, I returned to, got a little bit further, got stuck in, and then just rinse repeat. My memories of this game was that it was pretty hard, but hey, you can transform into dragons and there's like so much other cool stuff you can do, so the struggle was really worth it. I wonder if I revisited the game today though, would I find it easier? I don't know. However, Breath of Fire 4, it was a little bit easier than Breath of Fire 3. It was more on par with the other JRPGs from the same era, and it was a step forward in my opinion in pretty much every aspect from Breath of Fire 3. However, I do have a lot of nostalgia for the third installment, and it was my first experience with the series, so it holds a special place in my heart. After Breath of Fire 4 though, it was all downhill for this series. They released Breath of Fire Dragon Quarters, which was a really bad game in my book. Like, I was expecting Breath of Fire and I got something else that I did not want at all. And after that, Capcom just decided to go mobile game with Breath of Fire. So this series, it just slowly died out. With that in mind, we still need more of these classics, so give me those remasters. Okay, so last of the bunch, but sure not the least. We all know Chrono Trigger is one of the best JRPGs to ever be made, so Chrono Cross, it kinda got overshadowed. Even though it's not a direct sequel to Chrono Trigger, it sure gave me just as much pleasure playing through it. This game has everything that makes a fantastic JRPG. And it's a shame that not more people have played it. It should be remembered just as fondly as Chrono Trigger in my opinion, even if Chrono Trigger has a small edge over it. So Square Enix, please, we know we're never getting a proper sequel to Chrono Trigger, but at least give us a remaster for Chrono Cross. More people really need to play this game. So that's it. That's my list. For sure you have some other JRPGs you want to see getting a facelift and re-released. And if not for you, for people who has yet to experience them. So hit me up with your games in the comment section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. Until next time!